Good afternoon. This is Jack Martin with InsureMark. I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon in the Business Alpha webinar series. This is the Easy Business Double webinar. We've got Norm Trainor with the Covenant Group coming to us from Toronto today. So I want to thank you all for carving time out of your busy schedules to join us. We're going to dive right in. I want to cover a couple of quick housekeeping items if I can. This session is being recorded. And tomorrow you will get a follow-up email in your inbox that's going to have a link to this recording. Also, I encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, where you can keep up to date with all of our future events. On the right-hand side in your GoToWebinar toolbar, you'll see a space for questions. If you've got questions, feel free to type those in there, and we'll get to as many of them as we can before we sign off today. If you've got a problem with the audio, the most common solution to that is to get off the computer audio and get on to a telephone. That typically corrects many of those situations. So, as I said, we've got Norm Trainor. We'll tell you a little bit more about him in a second. And then we're going to talk a little bit about driving business alpha, which is the core principle that's driving the incredible results we're having at InsureMark this year. So we did a pretty exhaustive survey of financial advisors earlier this year, and we came up with an interesting blind spot. We asked the question, do you describe yourself as an advisor who owns a business or a business owner who is an advisor? And what we found was a lot of us perceive ourselves to be accidental business owners. In fact, 74% of us perceive ourselves to be advisors who happen to own a business. And so that has consequences for us in a couple of areas, and most notably in the follow-up question we made, which was, is your business an important part of your retirement plan? And what we found was that 83% of you said yes. And so what we discovered was that there's a gap there between being able to monetize, derive the maximum value, whether that's your work-life balance or whether that's financial income or whether that's more client time or whatever that may be. There's a gap between that where you want to be and where you are today. And what's exciting is that this is a great market for us to really be paying close attention to the value of our business. One of the folks we had on earlier this year told us that there were 45 buyers for every one advisor who wants to sell their business right now. And over the last year, for every advisor who sold their business, they received an average of 4 offers. So it really pays to focus, to work on the business, not just in the business. And so that's really what we're all about here at InsureMark. We're about helping you discover how you can get more from your life's work, more client time, more family time, more business value. So what I'd like to do is pass the baton over to Norm Trainor. We connected with Norm through one of our top producers who had participated in Norm's training program, his coaching program, and has had unbelievable success. In fact, last year he was our top producer at InsureMark. And so we thought, what better person than Norm Trainor, who helped our top advisor become so successful? What better person than Norm to come on and talk to all of us a little bit about some things we could do to be more successful tomorrow morning. So I'm going to pass over to you, Norm, and let you take over. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself to start.
Thank you, Jack. At the Covenant Group, we educate and coach financial advisors, and our passion is enabling you to achieve and sustain peak performance as you define it. Our business model is to align with organizations like InsureMark to bring greater value to the advisors whom they serve. So we're honored to be part of this presentation today. Our experience is that in every advisory practice, there's an easy double. In other words, you can double your business by focusing on 2 degrees of separation, the people you know and the people they know. And within the next 12 to 18 months, you can grow your non-recurring revenue by 100% or more. So that's what we're going to look at today in this presentation. If we look at the challenges today, where we are today, What we can discern is that most advisors run their business cash on cash. By that I mean they are focused on money in, money out. They are concerned about the flow of money at starting out at maybe earning enough weekly, monthly, quarterly, or for more experienced advisors, they're still running their business very much as an income generating entity. And the challenge with that is that it leads to short-term thinking. They tend to focus too close in. Another pervasive problem is that most advisors do not have a plan or a planning process. One study showed that 95% of advisors do not have a well thought out business plan and ongoing planning process they follow. As you know, one of the challenges in your business is that often it is a business of one. The research again shows that 52% of advisory practices comprise a business of one, 24% two, 21% three or four, and only 3% five or more. When you have a business that is centered upon your time, your energy, your creativity, and your intelligence, the challenge is you're often playing a finite game. Your growth is limited by the capability to leverage your time, energy, creativity, and intelligence. The game changes when you harness the resources around you and change the game from one that is finite to infinite. You are able to utilize human capital, the people around you, financial capital, the judicious investments in your business, and technology to significantly grow their business. Most advisors tell us that they are not fully realizing their potential. That's really what this session is all about. So as I mentioned, our mission is to educate and coach entrepreneurs. Each of you is an entrepreneur who has chosen to be in financial services. And our passion is to enable you to achieve and sustain peak performance as you define it. Each of us defines success in our own way. And our business model is to partner with organizations like InsureMark. One of the things that we've learned in our work is that the financial services industry has changed dramatically over the last 5 decades. For those of you who have been in business for a period of time, that will not surprise you. In fact, over that period of time, we've experienced 3 different paradigms in financial services. As you know, a paradigm does 2 things. 1, it establishes the boundaries within which we operate, and 2, it defines the rules for success. For those of us who started in financial service in the 70s and 80s, we entered into a sector that operated within a sales paradigm. Back then, it was possible to be a top agent or broker by mastering the art of sales. And the focus was on sales. In that period of time, the core goal became to make sales. We focused on our product and the features, advantages, and benefits of the product. And the success measure was the premium generated and the commission earned, or if you were in the investment business, the degree of trading in equity and fixed income. At the end of the 80s, the paradigm changed. The lines that separated banks, insurers, trust, and securities moved from fixed to blurred, and each moved into the other's areas. We moved from the sale of product to offering advice, and the marketing paradigm emerged. The core goal being to market a service. Planning, for example, financial planning, estate planning, tax planning, retirement planning, income planning. The focus was the sale of advice, and the key measure was the ability to build relationships. It was new and repeat business and establishing recurring revenue. In the early 2000s, we saw a further shift from the marketing paradigm to the business paradigm, where the emphasis moved from the sale of a plan or a planning process and new and repeat business to building a business. As I mentioned earlier, each of you is an entrepreneur who's chosen to be in financial services. You are building a business. And today, we operate in that business paradigm. The focus becomes the client experience, and the lifetime value of the client relationship becomes the key measure. And success is based upon the growth and sustainability of the business and its profitability. As Jack mentioned, there has never been a better time to build a saleable or scalable business. There's never been a higher realization of value. In the Covenant Group, we use a best practices model. We have worked with literally thousands of advisors over the last 20 plus years. And when we have done the research to identify what separates high performers from average producers, what we have looked at is what are the differentiators. When you ask a high-performing advisor what makes them successful, they will readily tell you. However, when you observe what makes them successful, it is usually not what they tell you. High performers tend to focus on their sales skills, their personal charisma, and their product technical knowledge. While all of those are important, that is not what differentiates them. The single most important differentiator between high performers and average producers is the time frame or time span within which they think and plan. In other words, high performers plan their work and work their plan very differently than average producers. This relates to the longest task in which they are involved and the way in which they manage short, complex tasks. The longest task in which you're involved is building a sustainable business that will scale to the level that you desire. One of the other key activities, as you know, is prospecting, making sure that you have a pipeline of prospective buyers. When I do a presentation to a group, I will often start out by asking the audience, how many prospects do you have in your pipeline? I'd just like you to write down the number of prospects you have in your pipeline. Now, if you're like most of the advisors with whom we've asked that question, you've written down a number somewhere between 5 and 40. 9 out of 10 advisors say that they have between 5 and 40 prospects in their pipeline. The second question is, when do you expect to close them or convert them? Please write that down. The vast majority of advisors in answering that question say in the next week, month, quarter, 6 months, rarely beyond 1 year. High-performing advisors answer that question very differently. They will typically say that they have between 100 and 300 prospective buyers in their pipeline, and they expect to convert them in the next 1 to 3 years. One of the advisors whom we coach, we'll call him Jay, over the last 5 years has taken his revenue from $170,000 to $1.8 million. When we first started working with Jay and asked him how many prospects he had in his pipeline, he answered 18. In a recent coaching session, that had been upgraded to 166. When we first became involved with Jay, he had a part-time assistant that was working 20 hours that graduated to a full-time assistant. Today, he has 2 assistants and 1 associate. He was taking 2 weeks vacation and running hard. Now he works 40 weeks and takes 12 weeks off. Jay has completely redefined his business, and he is building a 7-figure business that this year will generate close to $3 million. When we started working together just over 5 years ago, his goal was to build his business to $5 million of revenue, and he will realize that goal in the next couple of years. There are 3 questions all of us want to answer in formulating the vision for our business. When we started working with Jay, one of the first questions we asked him is, what role do you want to play in your business? Jay answered that he wanted to be the chief strategist and chief rainmaker. He only wanted to do what only he was capable of doing, and to delegate everything else. The second question is, how big do you want to become? Jay said that in 5 years he wanted to build a business to $5 million of revenue. And the third is, what is the required organization? In order for Jay to realize his vision, what we had to identify was the capabilities and resources that would enable him to work at the highest level of his capability and to grow a multi-million-dollar revenue stream. For each of you, it is important to address these 3 questions. All of us want to push as big a rock as we're capable of moving. Whether you want to generate a 6-figure revenue stream, 7-figure, 8-figure, or 9-figure is really a function of your drive or your motivation. And our goal is to help you achieve and sustain peak performance as you define it for yourself. In building your business, there are also 3 R's that you have to get right. The first is, who is the right client? Describing in detail your ideal client. One of the mantras that we believe strongly in is, the narrower your focus, the bigger your opportunity. For Jay, the right client is a successful business owner, high-income professional, or executive in a large corporation. In addition, Jay looks for the following characteristics in his ideal client. He wants people who are responsible, have strong family values, are achievement-oriented, delegators, and generous of spirit. In describing your ideal client, you want to describe them demographically and psychographically. Demographics is the statistical analysis of population, age, income, marital status, type of employment or stage of life, geographic location. Psychographics are the attributes, qualities, characteristics you're looking for: responsible, strong family values, achievement-oriented. Jay has a very clear sense of who is the right client. The second question is, what is the right value proposition? The clarity of your value proposition drives everything. When you have a simple and compelling value proposition, it creates attraction power. For Jay, his value proposition is helping business owners and successful people achieve financial security no matter what happens in an uncertain world. Jay is particularly motivated to work with business owners and entrepreneurs. When Jay was 10 years old, his father's business failed. The failure of that business and the ensuing bankruptcy decimated the family. They moved from an upper middle class neighborhood into eventually his parents separating, and Jay and his younger brother living in a 1-bedroom apartment with their mother. Jay is passionate about helping entrepreneurs and successful people avoid that experience. You also have to identify what is the right exchange of value or the right price. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. First and foremost, what is the benefit to the client? And what is the fair exchange of value? What do they pay for that? What do you receive in return? When you get those three questions right, it can be transformative for your business. Now, I mentioned that there is an easy double in your business, and it is within 2 degrees of separation. The first is people you know, and the second is people they know. Most advisors are sitting on acres of diamonds. There is potential within easy reach through their social circle and through the social circle's contacts. And social media has only expanded that capability. Let's dive in and look at how you realize the easy double within 2 degrees of separation. It starts with the people you know, your social circle, family, friends, acquaintances, people with whom you work in your neighborhood. Your social circle is the most powerful resource you have for growing your business. And in many instances, it is not fully exploited. In describing what you do and earning the right to do business with people you know, and to in turn ask them for introductions to people they know, there are 4 key elements to align. The first is framing. Framing is the way in which information is presented. When you approach people in your social circle with the intent of earning the right to do business with them, it is important to clarify that your intent is to make a difference in their lives, not trade on your relationship for self-serving reasons. There are 3 C's that are critical to your business. The first is confidence, your belief in the value of what you do. The work you do can make a dramatic difference in the lives of people you know. If you had a cure for cancer, you would not hesitate to tell everyone about it. You would be evangelical. In the same vein, what you do is so important that you want to bring that same confidence to bear when describing the work and the difference you make in people's lives. The second is courage. Having the courage to approach people you know, particularly the most successful people in your social circle, is critical to achieving high performance. And finally, the third C is community. You are building your community of people with whom you're involved in making a difference in their lives. So one way you can frame what you do is when you approach people you know and you engage in a dialogue or conversation with them, you can say at one point, in a recent study by McKinsey, the strategic consulting firm, they found that 51% of American households do not have a financial advisor. Furthermore, 68% of Americans report that they do not have a trusted financial advisor to whom they can turn for advice or counsel. Surprisingly, this also includes some of the wealthiest individuals and families. Does that surprise you? Now, people are going to respond in one of 2 ways. They're going to say, well, I have a financial advisor, or I have a trusted advisor, and yes, it does surprise me, or no, it doesn't surprise me because I don't have a trusted advisor. And the The consequence of that is that you get a sense of where they stand. Do they have a relationship currently or not? And if they do have a financial advisor, you can respond by saying, do you have enough confidence in your current financial advisor to get a second opinion? When they respond they do not have an advisor, you can say, or sorry, if they say, do you have enough confidence in your current advisor to get a second opinion? When they respond, you can say, I would like to show you how we can help you achieve your financial goals. You can make your own determination with regard to whether or not we work together. If you decide not to work with me, it will in no way change our relationship. Does that seem reasonable? You always ask questions to get agreement. You build agreement throughout. Does that seem reasonable? Does that make sense? How do you feel about that? If they respond that they do not have a financial advisor, then you can say, I would like to earn the right to be your trusted advisor. And you repeat that former statement. I would like to show you how we can help you achieve your financial goals. You can make your own determination with regard to how we work together. If you decide not to work with me, that will in no way change our relationship. Does that seem reasonable? So framing is the order in which information is presented. Framing is the way in which information is presented. Timing is the order in which it's presented. It is important to consider when is the right time to approach someone in your social circle to discuss what you do. When you have a relationship of trust and confidence, it is easier to broach sensitive subjects. Positioning is a term coined in the advertising industry. It refers to the way in which people view their relationship with you. On a scale, people will be negatively disposed to discussing their situation, neutral, or positively disposed. It is important to assess how you are positioned with the people you are approaching. Separation is the degree to which you are able to differentiate what you do. The key measure is the degree of trust and confidence people have in you. And what that leads to is client capital. But before we get to that, one of the things that's important to emphasize is that everything we're doing here is geared around social inclusion. And when you use social inclusion, that can be extremely powerful. And you can use it to position how you have a conversation, again, with people in your social circle. So let me give you another script that you can use with people you know. So when you're in a conversation with someone, you can say, Lisa, in my business, one of the things I've learned is that most successful people like yourself choose a financial advisor based on what is termed social inclusion. What it means is that successful people usually meet their advisor through people they know. As you know, the best form of marketing is word of mouth. Let me give you an example. If someone you knew and respected came up to us right now, would you have any hesitation in introducing us? Now, what are they going to say? Of course not. Then you can say, I would like the opportunity to meet people you know. People like you. I'm not asking you to introduce me to people who are looking for a financial advisor. They will make their own determination. I would just like to meet more people like you. Does that seem reasonable? So there's two ways in which you can significantly grow your business. One is through approaching the people you know and using the script I just described. And the second is getting introductions from the people that they know to build relationships. But before we get to that, I want to highlight something that is extremely important in terms of this whole concept of social inclusion. And that is that your success is going to be largely determined by the client capital you create, the value that you are able to generate. And as I mentioned earlier, in a business paradigm, you are building lifetime relationships. And one measure of the success you will have is the degree to which you were able to create client capital. And client capital is fundamentally the sum of three elements. And this is where positioning comes in. It is the depth of relationship you have with your clients, the most important measures of which are the number of products and services they buy from you and the degree to which they will willingly introduce, recommend, and refer you. So client capital first starts with depth of relationship, the number of products and services they buy from you and the degree to which they view you as their trusted advisor. And secondly, the breadth of relationship, the extent to which they will become your evangelist. They willingly introduce, recommend, and refer you. The third element, though, is the degree of engagement, the extent to which your clients are engaged in your success because they know that you are committed to their success. So everything you do in terms of these two degrees of separation is based upon the ability to create client capital, to create value. Whether people are your clients or in your network and become centers of influence, they believe in the value that you bring to relationships. So fundamentally, social inclusion is the key to doubling your business over the next year. Now, one other aspect that we're going to touch on today in terms of methods to drive success is that most financial advisors have difficulty answering the question, what do you do? We've worked with advisors who've been in this business 10, 20, 30, 40 years and still stumble when people say, what do you do? Or answer, I'm a financial advisor, which puts you in a group of about hundreds of thousands of people and is not a differentiator. One of the key ways you can separate yourself is finding creative ways to answer that question. One of the things we know, again, from research is that people, particularly successful people, look for 4 qualities in the advisors whom they choose to work with. The first is integrity. People want to deal with someone who demonstrates integrity. And integrity is consistency in word and deed. The second is humility. They want to deal with people who have an inherent sense of their own humanness. The third is dedication. That they want to know that their advisor is dedicated to helping them achieve what's important in their lives. And the fourth is passion. They want to deal with people who are passionate about what they do. So when somebody asks you, what do you do? An effective way to frame that answer is to start by saying, I love helping people. Now, if you're in the pre-retirement market, dealing with people 10 to 15 years from retirement, you might say, I love helping people. I love helping people 10 to 15 years from retirement move from the majority to the minority. Only a minority of people will retire financially secure and able to fully live their retirement dreams. I would like to have coffee with you to show you how this works. If you're dealing with business owners, you might say, I love helping people. I love helping business owners move from the majority to the minority. Only 1 in 10 businesses survive beyond the 10th year. Only 3% of businesses will still be around after 40 years. I would love to have coffee to show you how we help business owners achieve financial security and independence no matter what happens in their business. You can use that phraseology in any situation that makes sense for you. Now, one of the things that we wanted to just touch on as well is that, as Jack mentioned, we are in the business of helping advisors grow their business. And that the number one advisor in InsureMark began working with us 12 years ago and grew his business tenfold. We have 3 different levels of offering with regard to our work with advisors. The first is we have a advisor platform called Coach on the Go. It is a fully mobile-enabled system that allows you to develop your planning and then execute the plan. And we have a Business Builder webinar series where we do a monthly webinar, provide you with access to Coach on the Go. And over a series of months, typically starting with a 1-year involvement, we can help you build out your business. And the investment is $100 a month. We also have our Business Builder Academy. And this is typically for advisors that are generating a 6-figure revenue stream and want to grow that to a higher 6-figure or typically 7-figure revenue stream. The program again is 12 months. It consists of 3 workshops, 3 webinars with your team to show them what was learned in the workshops and how to apply it, and 9 one-on-one coaching sessions each month. So there's a touch point every month. It includes access to Coach on the Go, and we take you through how to build a business. And you are also able to leverage the involvement of a community of advisors and peer-to-peer learning through the workshops and webinars. And finally, at the highest level, we have our Business Builder Advanced Development Program, and that involves one-on-one work with an advisory team. It starts with a benchmarking interview, 1 day of strategic planning, a webinar to clarify your business definition, 10 one-on-one coaching sessions with you and your team, and access to Coach on the Go. The Business Builder Academy is $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year, and the Business Builder Advanced Development Program is $20,000 for the year. The program is based upon 4 cornerstones, and these are foundational either in the Business Builder webinar, the Business Builder study group, or the Business Builder Advanced Development. It starts with your strategy for growing your business. Your strategy is your clear plan of action. to take you from where you are to where you want to be. We define strategy as the alignment of three elements. What are the outputs or objectives you want to achieve? What are the capabilities and resources you have to realize them? And what are the opportunities and challenges the environment provides? Your strategy dictates your structure, the system of roles, role relationships, and policies that define accountability and authority. What is the ideal structure for you in your business, whether you're a business of one or a business of many? And how do you put that structure in place to play the infinite game? Systems and processes. Successful businesses are built on replicable processes. We work with you to implement a marketing system, selling system, client service system, resource management system, and the various processes that will drive success in your business. And finally, financial management. There are three key measures of your success, and they are both historical and pro forma. The first is your balance sheet, the assets and liabilities in your business, and your personal balance sheet. The second is your income statement. And the third is your cash flow statement. We look at where you are, your current balance sheet, income and expense statement, and cash flow statement. And then we build out 1 and 5 year income and expense pro formas. We examine 5 financial levers that are critical to your success. The first is your product and service mix. What is the potential in your various products and services? The second is your average sale or case size. The third is the number of sales you make by product or service line. The fourth is the seasonality of your business, the variance month over month in a calendar year. One of the advisors that we work with, when we first got involved with them and analyzed his business, 34% of his revenue was coming in the first 8 months of the year and 66% in the last 4 months. And that's not unusual for many advisory businesses. They get very focused in the last 4 months of the year. We built out a 15-month marketing, sales, and service calendar starting in September for the last quarter and the following year. In the first quarter of the next year, he generated 220% of revenue over and above what he generated in the first quarter of the prior year. In the second, he was up 190%. In the third quarter, 111%. And in the fourth quarter, 107%. He grew his business 45% in that year. So seasonality is an important factor. And the fifth is cyclicality. Immunizing your business from market highs and market lows, economic contractions, and taking advantage of economic expansions. When you align those 5 financial levers with your marketing, sales, and service initiatives, you gain control or mastery over the growth trajectory of your business. So fundamentally, those are the elements in our work. And I just want to add one final thing. People often ask us, what is it that makes you different? Or what is it makes you unique in the work you do with financial advisors? And there are a number of ways to answer that question, but probably the one that is most descriptive is that if you look at most coaching programs, they are offered by craftspeople. They are offered by people who have learned their craft and mastered their art and now want to teach it to others. They are artists, and art is the application of creativity and intelligence. And craft is art grounded in experience. So most coaches teach you their art grounded in experience. Science involves the study of cause, or the measurement of cause and effect relationships in the natural world. And engineering is art grounded in science. To be an engineer, you have to understand the rules of nature. You have to understand science. And if you're building a bridge, you have to work with the contours of the geography. You have to apply art. We view our work as design engineering. We teach art and science, and we work with you to engineer the practice or the business that makes the most sense for you. The other differentiator can probably be best encapsulated in a quote that was given by Isidore Sharp, the legendary founder of the Four Seasons, when asked, why is it the Four Seasons can charge twice the room rate of Hilton, Sheraton, or Westin? He answered, it is because we do common things uncommonly well. When you do common things uncommonly well, you differentiate yourself. But to do that, you have to master preparing, practicing, and perfecting what you do. One of the advisors whom I coach brought in $5 billion in assets in his first 13 years. He routinely brings in between $600 million and $1 billion a year. What would be success in a career for most people, he achieves in a year. One of the things that stood out in working with him was the dedication that he demonstrated to doing common things uncommonly well. That's a big part of what our work is about and what will differentiate you. We're going to turn it over to questions or comments.
Norm, I think you answered most of the questions along the way. It looks like, seriously, those that popped up, you have handled. You did an outstanding job. Thank you very much.
That's great. And are we at a wrap now, Jack?
Yeah, I was going to just do a little bit of a wrap up on InsureMark if I can. Norm, thank you very much. And folks, this is recorded and you'll get a copy of it in your inbox along with a copy of the slides and the offer that Norm is making with respect to his services. So thank you very much, Norm. We really appreciate it.
Thank you,
I just want to wrap up with a little bit about, why InsureMark is sponsoring this Business Alpha webinar series and this whole approach that we're taking. And it really stems from the fact that we are extremely passionate about helping advisors like you get more out of your life's work, get more client time, more family time, and more value. Day after day, we hear advisors tell us that they feel underserved by their current partners. And that's why we encourage you to learn a little bit more about us and how we can help. Only 18% of the advisors we surveyed earlier this year were earning more than $1 million, and we would love to help you get into a position where you could do that while keeping a great work-life balance. And the way we do that is through a process we call Driving Business Alpha. It's a process where we bring together best-of-class resources like Norm Trainor and many of the other people you've heard in these Business Alpha webinars and many other business and marketing resources for you to help you realize the full value of your life's work in terms of balance as well as economic value. And what we have seen over the last year and a half is that advisors who are in strategic partnership with us realize more of this business alpha because of our value engineering process. And it's a process It's about people, and it's about practices. And the process we call value engineering, and it works a lot like your relationship with your clients works. We start with a discovery process where we learn all about you and what makes your business tick. We analyze the metrics of your business, help you come up with a plan. Like Norm said, so many advisors don't have a plan today. And then our advisor development consultants actually help you implement that plan. They are proactive in helping you get engaged with the right resources to add the right people to your team and so on. And finally, your advisor development consultant is with you on an ongoing basis to help you refine your blueprint and help you continue to execute at the highest possible level. And when we dive into your business, we look at least 5 different areas of your business. We're going to look at your lead generation program. We're going to look at practice betterment. We're going to look at how your client experience. We're going to look at your communication programs and your brand development and marketing. And all of those pieces come together during the analysis stage of the value engineering. So that's what we're all about. We have a couple of events coming up. If you'll watch your inbox, watch us on LinkedIn, you'll get the link to the Fireside with Dr. Roger Ibbotson. There is a new asset class out there, and it is an alternative to bonds. It can solve a lot of the heartburn that your clients may be having with respect to bond market risk and potential volatility in the stock market. In November, we've got Tom Hegna. Everybody loves Tom Hegna. He's done great research. He's a great speaker. He's going to be talking to us about the psychonomics of retirement. And so we've got a good series continuing throughout this year. I want to thank you all for taking time to join us, and we encourage you, put us to the test. See our passion, understand what it is that we bring to the table, and why so many of our advisor clients feel so strongly about the good work we're doing in their businesses. So thank you all very much. Give us a call at 800-752-0207, and we'll be happy to talk to you about how InsureMark can help you drive business alpha. Thanks and have a great day.